So hello and welcome to the Nucleus Wealth Client Portal Explainer video. This is the front page of the client portal once you've logged in and you've got assets under management with Nucleus Wealth. As you can see here at the top, we have our overall asset summary, which gives a breakdown of the various portfolios or models that you're invested in with us, and also a pie chart that gives you an overview of where they are in the various, or where your total assets are in the various asset classes that we invest in. You've also got then the ability to dive into an account by account summary, which shows, in this case, our test client here has just got the one, which is a self-managed super fund with a corporate trustee styled account. You can see here they're invested in the three major or flagship tactical models of Nucleus Wealth: accumulation, growth, and income, and an overview of their weighting as well. By clicking on the Go to Account now, it brings up the account dashboard page. And what we've done here is, as you can see, we've got the current balance at the top, and then we've broken it up into a number of different tabs, being tactical, strategic, ethical, portfolio, and finally performance. So let's dive into tactical. So the tactical tab will then display a series of gauges. Now these gauges give you an indication of how the portfolio is currently set up from a tactical standpoint in the various or the four asset classes that we invest in at Nucleus Wealth. So we've got here, for example, our test account here is quite overweight in the dark blue in cash, middle of the range for government bonds, very underweight Australian shares, and finally middle of the range for international shares. Moving down to the summary now, you can see that once again there's this overview pie chart and also an overall total to overall defensive to growth mix as well. So you can see how that's sitting. As you can see there, quite defensively placed at the moment. If you've got other assets in your self-managed super fund or other assets, if this is a personal account, you can also key these in here. And what it will do is add those into the above pie chart. So we can see here by adding more international shares, it brings it in here and also increases the growth. Likewise, if you've, for example, got a property either outside or inside your fund or in your personal name, whatever the case may be, you can also add those in, and it will add those in into your various into the various charts as well, to give you a clearer snapshot, I guess, of where your investments are and how your overall growth and defensive mixes are placed. Moving down into the portfolio detail. So what we've done here is broken up the equity side of a client's portfolio into the various sectors of the stock markets around the world, called the GICS sectors. We've also given you an idea of the geographical regions that the shares are invested in. And finally, an overview of the defensive holdings as well, and a bit of information on cash and the bonds and the like. If we jump across to the sector groups firstly, you can see here we've got a number of the sectors that this client's invested in, being technology, services, manufacturing, finance, etc. And then from here, what you can do is you can actually click on the wedge of interest. So we might, for example, choose technology, and it will open up a second chart to the right-hand side. As you can see here now, there's a subcategories of health technology, technology services, and electronic technology. And from here, we might say, okay, what have we got in health technology? So we'll click on that one, and it will bring up the relevant companies that fit in under that subsector. From here, of course, then you can select any number or any name of the company on the left-hand side here, and it will bring up our analyst reports, which are basically an overview of the company itself, how it's going, and a little bit about its business model, and of course then some of our own analyst data, being some quality value stats, some various financials as well, if you're interested in those, and where it sits on our quality value analysis. For more information about getting the most out of these analyst reports, please see the analyst report explainer video. Our next tab that we'll look at today is the strategic tab. So what the strategic tab does is it gives you an overview of the long-term positioning of your portfolio. So in this case, our sample client here is sitting on our Nucleus Wealth risk triangle, as we call it, as a middle of the range between the three portfolios that they've got, with a slight accumulation bias over income. And that's reflected in the percentages that this client has of those three portfolios. portfolios. On the right-hand side, we have the target strategic asset mix. Now, this is important, particularly if you're wishing to compare how your overall, your high watermark of how much growth-producing assets or risk assets you have in your portfolio. And it just gives you a bit of a guide, particularly if you're wishing to compare against other portfolios you may have had in the past on the total amount or the maximum amount of shares that you can have there. You can, of course, make changes at any time. So by clicking on the Change Portfolio button, it'll bring up the ability to either rerun the risk profile again or use our self-directed option to choose from our portfolios, as you would have done at the start when you first created an account with Nucleus Wealth. And of course, further to that, you can also get in touch with us through the Seek Advice button. So plenty of options there to help you get on your way from a strategic standpoint. So next, we'll look at the Ethical tab. So the Ethical tab brings up here, as you can see, this test client has got a number of ethical screens turned on from our total palette of 19 ethical screens, and we do also have 2 portfolio screens as well. Of course, you're free to make any changes here as it goes along. Just click the Change Ethics button. That will bring up a panel which essentially gives you the ability to turn on and off new screens, and also the impacts on those portfolios, and also any costs involved in creating or moving around in the ethical screens as well. Next up, we have the Portfolio tab. So the Portfolio tab, of course, just gives you an overview of your portfolio, but importantly, it also includes the excluded securities due to any ethical screens you may have. And as you can see here, these have come through the ethical screens in our test case. It also gives you a breakdown or a weighting of the various allocations to our Nucleus Wealth portfolios. As you can see here, this client has some in accumulation, majority in growth, and also some in income. And then finally, a rundown of all the holdings in the portfolio, broken up into the 4 asset classes of cash, bonds, Australian and international shares. On any one of the holdings in here, once again, you can click on the name and it will bring up the investment or the analyst report. And from there, you can learn more about the stocks and holdings that you have in your portfolio. And finally, we have the Performance tab. So at the moment, performance is unavailable through the Nucleus Wealth client portal. However, as always, you can head over to the Linear website, the Linear client portal, and there's a link here to click on that to log in there to access up-to-the-minute performance figures for your portfolio. And also, if you need to find out any transaction data or any of the finer detail of your portfolio as well. We will, of course, be bringing this onto your own Nucleus Wealth client portal in the coming months. And don't forget that you can always take a tour, which is accessible on the top right-hand side, the green button there. And what that will do is actually walk you through all the key areas of our new client dashboard just to refresh your memory as well. So there marks the conclusion of our Nucleus Wealth explainer video. Feel free to be in touch if you've got any further questions, and also check out some of the other videos where we do some deep dives into exactly what the research reports are, and also our onboarding video as well. Thanks.